everybody, it's Lon.TV. We've got another router to take a look at today. It's the TP-Link Archer C9. This is an AC1900 router, which will get you theoretically 1.3 gigabits per second over the AC 5 gigahertz bands and 2.4 gigahertz speeds at around 600 megabits per second. So not too bad on that front. Again, those are theoretical, but the performance actually isn't bad and on par with other devices in its class. This is about $150. I really like the TP-Link stuff. I use their stuff at work. I use it at home. I found their product quality to be really good and their prices not to be all that expensive. So this one's about $149 on Amazon at the moment. Pretty basic layout here. You've got a USB port for plugging in disks and printers. You can share files over this. We'll do a speed benchmark in a minute. You have your WAN port here for connecting it to your cable modem and other device. 4 gigabit Ethernet ports over here, so you can get decent Ethernet speeds on there. You've got a on-off switch here, so if you ever want to shut it down, you can do that really quick. Nothing much on the front here except some lights, and then you've got the 3 antennas at the top there. And then on the side, you have USB 3.0 as well as a Wi-Fi hot switch. So if you want to disable the Wi-Fi in an emergency, you just push the button and it's shut down. Now, like all routers, it has a web-based control panel. It's pretty no frills. What I like about it is that they kind of break it into 3 different levels of granularity for configuration. So if you're just looking to get the thing set up and running, you can just do the quick setup here. It'll guide you step by step and get it working for you without a lot of fussing around. You can go into the basic mode here and get a little bit more detail into your settings. You can kind of set the wireless passwords and do some other minor things like set up the USB ports and whatnot. And then you can go really crazy into the advanced section here and then get some really fine control over what you're doing. So it's got all the basic features we've seen on routers of this class. So you've got things like the ability to control the amount of bandwidth that different applications are using or different computers are using on the network, so that quality of service kind of thing. It does have something called NAT Boost, which I think is a way of just automating that process. So while this is on by default, it'll try to prioritize traffic based on the way it thinks is best for your network. But of course, you can turn that off and then do the bandwidth control settings yourself. You have all the parental controls, so you can lock the kids out at certain times a day or restrict certain websites and that sort of thing. And then, of course, you have all of your wireless settings and everything else. I do like the fact that they have the reboot function right here front and center, which is kind of nice to be able to have access to as well. Now, it performs quite well, actually. We're doing a wireless connection, of course, with only a few inches away from it, but we're getting about 500 megabits per second, about half a gigabit over 5 gigahertz AC, which is actually pretty good. You know, you're never going to see this 1.3 gigabits that they're touting for a couple of reasons. The first is that most of your wired connections are going to be limited to a gigabit, at least at the outset. And there's also a lot of overhead and other things that come into play when you're doing these kinds of things. But still, this is a really good result. I did walk down the hallway to kind of give it some real-world kind of applications where you'd be moving around your home or whatever. And of course, the speed drops off the further you get away. Still, to get even over 100 megabits per second at a distance is pretty good. Now, you notice here I've got my little solid-state disk plugged into the device as well, so you can have it run as a little file server. So we're going to run a quick speed test on here. This is the SSD that I'm running this off of is plugged into the USB 3 port. You don't get huge speeds out of this as a file server, so you're only going to see about 20 megabytes per second or so in reads and writes. So certainly not a huge device for making it a file sharing device, but I think if you really wanted to share files over your network, the best way to go would be to get a network attached storage device, a NAS device that would give you a little bit better file sharing performance. But you can, put a couple of files on it and be able to share those things back and forth, and it can also serve as a print server as well. So that is the TP-Link Archer C9, a good value, very simple to use and set up. I kind of like the fact that it's just not difficult to get it up and running, and it performs quite well. This is Lon.TV. Thanks for watching.